Despite the prospect of lockdown ending soon, most people are hoping to stay with that whole work from home thing, at least partially, when things go back to normal. It certainly has its advantages, but keeping active is not one of them. If, like me, you tend to flop into your office chair in the morning and basically not move for the next 8 hours, it's probably a good idea to consider the use of a standing desk. But is standing actually better for you than sitting? Well, that's debatable. Standing in one place for 8 hours instead of sitting there for 8 hours is probably no better. But what if you could have the best of both worlds, flitting between the two as and when you need? Well, look no further than the Flexispot E5. Flexispot has a range of electric sit-stand desks that make the whole process of switching between standing and sitting easy and seamless. With one button press, you can raise or lower the Flexispot E5 to 3 of your different pre-programmed personal preferences. Now, those are stored in memory, so you don't need to sit there pressing the up-down button, fiddling with it to get it just right. First off, it's worth noting that the legs and desktop are available separately and they are delivered separately. In fact, ours actually came through a different courier. In the UK at least, DPD brought the heavier leg package while DHL Parcel brought the desktop. Now, the desktop package did look a little bit beaten up, but the desktop itself was well protected inside of the box and suffered no apparent damage as a result. The legs arrived perfectly and they are well padded with polystyrene anyway. The main box with the frame inside of it is very heavy. It's around 30 kilograms just for that, so if you're of a slightly smaller stature, you may need help to move it. The desktop, even the largest size one, is under 20 kilograms, so that's a bit easier, but it was still quite an effort to get this moved into the room where we wanted it. But if you had any worries about this being sturdy enough, the sheer weight should tell you otherwise. It's not going to shift around in use. So construction was easy. It took us about an hour to put the legs together, figure out the cable tray, wire stuff in, and then screw on the desktop. The desktop just attaches via a series of screws on the edge, so it would be easy to swap it out for something else if you fancy. There's nothing tying you to a Flexispot desktop in particular, but the desktop that's supplied does have a few pre-drilled holes which do help when you're attaching it. The keypad itself is not built into the desktop in any way. It can be screwed on the front, either left or right, or of course anywhere you want to put it really. Now, I also decided to move my office entirely into this larger space midway through reviewing it. So I tested how easy it was to both construct and then deconstruct it and put it back together again without damaging bits. And again, it came apart smoothly. Just unscrew the desktop, then unbolt the cable tray, and the desktop supports carry each leg individually, and then it went back together easily enough. Definitely impressed with the overall construction and the quality of parts. It feels very solidly made. The only slight disappointment for me with the quality of the product was the desktop itself. Now, I opted for the curved brown 140 by 70 centimeter desktop, and it's clearly laminated. For some reason, I thought it would be real wood. It looks better in the pictures on the website than in real life, at least with this color anyway. That doesn't mean it's bad by any means, but up close you can certainly tell that it's printed and laminated on. And I suspect that this laminated print will be the first thing to wear down in use. But again, it's easy to source your own. I know Flexispot does also have real wooden desktops, but they weren't an option for this particular combo set. That said, you can easily find another one and attach it. There's no special attachment points or anything, just screw it in from underneath. Anything up to 2 meters wide and 80 centimeters deep would be safe with this model. This one does, however, have 2 cable routing holes, which is nice, and generally I'm not one to care about cables because I just have far too many, but I did try my best to use those as well as the cable tray underneath, which is also really easy to use. Each side has 4 thumb screws. You can loosen those by hand and then unclip the cable tray and tidy things up. Bear in mind, however, that the power distribution box takes up a significant part of whatever side you choose to put it on, so you can't use all of the space on both sides. And if you have a metric ton of cables, you'll probably want your own cable tidy method as well. I've just used a simple cable wrap. So what about carrying capacity? The Flexispot E5 is rated to 125 kilograms or around 275 pounds. thanks to a very strong 3-stage dual motor system. Now, I happen to weigh close to that, 110 kilograms or 242 pounds, and I think you see where I'm going with this. Kids, please don't try this at home. Suffice to say, I could soon reach up and touch the ceiling while lying down. The desktop didn't bend or crack, and while the motors were obviously a little bit slower on the way up, they didn't appear to struggle as such. There were no grinding noises or any indication that it wouldn't handle it. Which is good, because I then threw my 55-inch TV/monitor on top and full tower gaming PC. I mean, it's not nearly as heavy as I am in total, but my point is, you probably don't need to worry about the weight allowance of this, unless you're also adding a really thick, solid wooden tabletop. Then it might be worth doing some sums to work out the total weight. But please don't actually lie on yours. That's my job to do the dumb stuff so you don't have to. Now, adjusting the height of the desk is very easy. However, I should note that the motors are rated for 2 minutes on and 18 off. So you shouldn't sit or stand there continuously running them. That would overheat and damage. Instead, adjust the desk sparingly. I mean, going the full height change doesn't take 2 minutes, more like 20 seconds. It moves at about 3.8 centimeters a second. But still, just know that the motors aren't designed to be moving continuously, so do keep your children away from the controls, as if that wasn't obvious. There is no child safety lock or anything, and there's also no obstacle detection that I can tell, so it really is your responsibility to make sure that little hands aren't in your office and won't be playing with it. If you do have young children around and they want to play with your stuff, then probably not a good idea. The height ranges from 62 to 125 centimeters. Right now it's set on about 113. In inches, that's about 24.4 to 49.2 inches. And it's easy to save up to 3 presets. Just set it to the preferred height manually, press M, and then the number you want to save to. Then just press that number again to recall that position. There's also an alarm on the A button to remind you to stop working or take a break. You can enable that if you want. I can't say I used it because my Mi Band generally buzzes every so often anyway. Still, it's a nice feature to have if you need it. Some other electric sit-stand desks that you find online only tend to have up and down manual controls, which can be pretty annoying if you're standing there trying to set it at the right height. So the big question is, should you buy the Flexispot E5? Absolutely. Personally, I don't think standing by itself is necessarily better. While it solves some of the problems associated with sitting, you end up with other aches and pains instead. Anti-fatigue mats can certainly help, but being able to move between a few set positions for seated and standing easily is absolutely a winner. And anecdotally, while I don't think the standing aspect alone is healthier, I do notice that the act of standing makes me more active generally in other aspects, so I'm more likely to wander off and start shooting some videos that I really should. Whereas before, sitting all day, it was easier just to procrastinate those other tasks and sort of justify sitting there longer just to answer that email or write a bit more. So overall, absolutely it has made a difference for me, but in a somewhat indirect way. Now, while I've got you here, I want to also mention another favorite Flexispot product of mine, though admittedly I haven't had room for it lately. So this desk bike actually incorporates a small desk which I've removed, and instead I use it under here to cycle with this at a standing height. But they also offer a deskless version, so you just have this cycle bit without the desk that would attach on here, and that gives you yet another option for using the desk, one that is arguably even healthier and definitely worth considering. One of the problems I found with the desk on this is that it just isn't big enough. You can pretty much put a laptop on it, but not a full-size keyboard and monitor. So it's a lot more useful to have this cycling ability, but underneath a full-size sit-stand desk. So I've been working at home now for over a decade, well before the pandemic. MakeUseOf.com has always been a remote organization. We don't have an office anywhere in the world, and I can honestly say that a sit-stand desk does make a massive difference to me. In terms of price, the frame itself retails at £360, while the desktop is £140 on top of that. So the whole package is £500. Now this is Flexispot's top of the line model with the best weight capacity. In terms of the competition, IKEA has a popular alternative with a similar looking oak veneer and black legs. The Bekant model will set you back a little bit cheaper at £450. However, it doesn't have the position memories, so you need to manually move it up and down each time by holding down the up and down button. And crucially, it's only rated to £154 or about 70 kilograms, which is significantly less than this. So purely in terms of safety, especially if you plan to have multiple monitors or a heavy desktop, then this is definitely a better choice. In terms of durability, I've had this for a month now in daily use and haven't had any issues yet. The movement is still smooth even after I maxed out the weight capacity a number of times. If you're planning to work at home, even part-time when this pandemic is over and things are somewhat back to normal, then I don't think you'll be disappointed by a Flexispot electric sit-stand desk, and it may make a huge difference to your overall well-being. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Flexispot for sending this unit out for review. Until next time, stay safe, hit like if you found this video helpful, and consider subscribing for more daily tech news, gadget reviews and giveaways from all of us over at makeuseof.com. And we'll see you in the next one.